Colleagues around the world have decided to quit their posts. I'm joined now by some Libyans who are here in London. You've managed to speak to some relatives back home. What are they telling you?
I spoke to them early this morning. It was 8:30 local time, Tripoli, and the only things I could get out of them was that there were gunshots and that there were, cars honking all night. I contacted a friend. She spoke to her parents, and they're closer to the Green Square. So I guess around like 1 o'clock at night, there were rumors that Muammar had left. So there were people celebrating, and then there were the big gunshots, and then the cars and the Land Cruisers, and then early this morning they were saying that there were helicopters zooming around. But in the morning they had not confirmed that they were being shot at. But later on, there were confirmation coming out from Twitter and from people on the eastern side that would go to the Egyptian borders and get it out, that they are shooting at people from helicopters and the Land Cruisers, which are known for government officials and stuff, that they were shooting just, like drive-by shooting gang style at anyone in their way. It doesn't matter.
One of the demonstrators there outside the Libyan embassy in London speaking to AlJazeera's Tim Friend a little bit earlier. Well, meanwhile, 2 Libyan military jets have landed on the island of Malta, along with a number of helicopters. Reports say the Air Force officers who piloted them had refused to take part in military operations against protesters. AlJazeera's Castanho Navarra is in Malta, and he told us that the pilots are now seeking asylum.
Well, I can confirm that the 2 senior officers from the Libyan Air Force, identified so far as colonels, have actually asked the Maltese government to be granted political asylum. Now, the 2 colonels have unexpectedly arrived, an unauthorized landing in Malta, shortly after 3 o'clock local time in the afternoon. Apparently, from the story they told the Maltese authorities as soon as they were surrounded when they landed in the Malta's International Airport, that they were ordered to bombard the protesters in the area of Benghazi. They were together with a squadron, and so there were only 2 of the aircraft in this squadron who decided not to follow the orders and to reroute themselves towards Malta and ask for protection over here. They have been interrogated for quite some time. Verifications, however, are still underway to determine the real identity of these 2 men who claim to be senior officers in the rank of colonels in the Air Force in Libya, but they have confirmed that they belong to the Oknabri Nafe air base just outside of Tripoli. Their platoon, or their squadron, was actually flown out from Tripoli. They landed in Benghazi this morning and then ordered to go and bombard. They decided to abandon the operation whilst they were at only 500 feet from the ground, so they were seeing the crowds quite clearly. What I can say also is that during their interrogation, these 2 men have apparently supplied authorities with classified information with regards to the activities by the Libyan military at this point in time.
Castanho Navarra there with news of those 2 Air Force officers leaving Libya for Malta. Of course, many non-Libyans are trying to get out of the country as well. Several British citizens have already been evacuated from Libya to escape the growing turmoil. Passengers arriving at Manchester Airport describe their experiences.
It's been quite frightening. We've had gunfire in the night. Probably not as bad as the news reports said, but I was very glad to get away, and there's lots of people who haven't got away yet. My husband's still there.
I can't tell you. It's really scary. Really scary.
You can really see the relief there on the faces of some of the people who have managed to get out of Libya as the violence escalates. Well, that is it from London for now. Let's go back to Kamal in Doha.
Barbara, thank you so much for that. If you're just joining us on Al Jazeera, we want to bring you up to date with what's been happening in Libya, because there's been a lot happening. Live rounds apparently used against protesters in Libya's capital, Tripoli. We've heard that from people on the ground as well. We've got reports maybe 250 people have been killed in Tripoli alone on Monday. Put that in perspective, Human Rights Watch was saying 24 hours ago, that was their latest number, that 223 people had died all up across the country. So this would be a huge uptick if it is confirmed. Also reports of airstrikes on anti-government demonstrators in the Libyan capital. We heard about that from people on the ground, plus what was going on elsewhere in the country. Libya's leader Muammar Gaddafi appearing to lose control of his armed forces. 2 senior Libyan Air Force officers flew their fighter jets into Malta. They defected. They say they were ordered to bombard protesters in Benghazi. They said they simply would not do that. And it's not just Air Force officers deserting Gaddafi. As many as 9 Libyan diplomats around the world have resigned. We've spoken to a couple. Ambassador to India, certainly. Also the Deputy Ambassador to the UN, who called on Gaddafi to step down. The Arab League has taken notice of the chaos in Libya. Sources have told AlJazeera it's called an emergency meeting on Tuesday to discuss the situation. We had that confirmed by the Qatari Prime Minister not long ago, who put in a call to Amr Moussa, the Secretary General of the Arab League. All of this as Muammar Gaddafi's second eldest son, Saif, announced he has set up a committee to investigate the incidents taking place in the country. Well, we managed to contact a witness in the city of Tripoli. It's been difficult because the phone lines have been down. There have been problems with internet and mobiles as well. But here is what we heard, a description of a very dire situation in the Libyan capital.
What we are witnessing here today is unbelievable. We have never seen anything like this before. Now there is an aerial bombardment all over the city, even in the alleys. In the Fashloon neighborhood, our neighborhood where I am, there is an aerial bombing, intense shelling. This is a very small area with a population of no more than 10,000. We try to help the injured people, but there are too many of them, and anyone who dares to go out to help is being shot at by mercenaries and snipers. Now, this is more than people can take. What do the Libyan people want? They need help. They need urgent help. People are crying. Death is everywhere. Why is the world silent on these atrocities? Why? This is the question. Why the Arab countries are keeping silent? Why? Within the next few hours, the entire Libyan population can be wiped out if this continues. Death is everywhere, shelling everywhere. Can anyone live like this? It is a revenge attack against the Fashloon neighborhood. This is the area where the revolution erupted in the city of Tripoli. This is a revenge attack against the people here.
So that tells you the story from on the ground, the desperation, the passion of the people there in Tripoli. Outside of the country, regional governments have stayed largely quiet on the subject of violence in Libya. Not long ago, we spoke to the Qatari Prime Minister, Sheikh Hamad bin Jassim Al Thani, who says the international community must act now.
I feel a big sympathy for the Libyan people. We don't accept using the force in this way or any way against the people or against any nation from their governments. And we make our declaration in this basis. We think that the international community should also take a stand against what's happening in Libya at the moment. I think Security Council have to play a role, and also we have the condemnation is not enough because we see the international community taking